Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a fascinating document looking at the state of technology in sports and entertainment, specifically as we head into 2025.
Yeah, it's a really sharp look, actually.
It is. It analyzes the challenges, the opportunities these organizations are facing, trying to keep pace with what you, the fan, expect today.
Right. And our mission here really is to slice through the source material and pull out the critical stuff. What are the main hurdles?
Hmm.
What kind of technical muscle do they actually need now? And, well, what are the big shifts shaping how everyone teams, leagues, artists, venues connects with their audience?
The document really nails this core tension, doesn't it? You've got fans on one side, completely used to these super slick personalized experiences. Think Netflix, Spotify, Amazon.
Yeah, everything just works. It feels like it was built just for you.
Exactly. But then on the other side, you have so many sports and entertainment orgs still wrestling with these, what the doc calls legacy systems.
Right. This old disconnected tech, it makes delivering those modern experiences, well, incredibly difficult and expensive.
It's like trying to build a Formula One car on a Model T chassis.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just doesn't work.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The document points to this sort of aha moment. The leaders, they're shifting how they think.
How so?
They're treating fan engagement less like, traditional marketing campaigns
Okay.
and more like sophisticated tech products, things that evolve constantly.
Right. And that mindset shift, well, it demands a completely different technical foundation, which brings us straight to what the document calls the modern fan stack challenge.
So what is that core challenge? I mean, beyond just old tech is bad.
Well, the document's pretty blunt. Those legacy systems, they actively slow things down, delivering new features, new experiences to fans. It's a slog.
Integrating anything new is painful.
Totally. And they often come with these huge ballooning infrastructure costs.
Right.
Hard to predict, hard to control.
So it's not enough to have a great marketing idea anymore. You need the tech chops to actually, execute it quickly, affordably.
Precisely. Technical maturity isn't just nice to have now. The document argues it's absolutely central. It's the difference between launching something cool in days versus, I don't know, months, years even.
Okay, challenge understood. So what does this modern technical foundation need to look like, according to the document? What's the architecture?
It's got to be built for speed, for flexibility, a lot like those consumer tech platforms we mentioned.
Like Netflix, Spotify.
Exactly. The document talks about needing real-time systems, things that react instantly to what a fan is doing.
Like if I just bought a ticket or my team scored a goal.
Yes, exactly that. It also needs services running in containers. Think of them as small standard software packages, self-contained.
Okay, like building blocks.
Right. Makes it way easier to build, deploy, move software around consistently. On your own servers, in the cloud, doesn't matter.
Got it. Standard parts. What else?
You need resilient queues. These handle massive spikes in activity. Everyone trying to buy tickets at once.
Yeah, we're checking scores during a huge game.
Right. So the system doesn't just fall over. And finally, intelligent orchestration, which is basically automating how all these different software pieces work together smoothly.
Okay, let me see if I got this. Real-time reactions, standardized container parts, handling huge traffic spikes with queues, and automating the connections between everything.
You nailed it. Under the hood, it needs to work with the robustness, the efficiency of a big consumer SaaS platform.
And the payoff. Why go through all this effort?
Well, the document points to a few key things: faster shipping of new ideas, new features, smarter automation, freeing people up from tedious tasks.
More creative work, less grunt work.
Exactly. And systematically digging out of that technical debt hole, that stuff just slows everything down.
Okay, that makes sense as the big picture. Now, how do organizations actually get there? The document lays out 7 key technical objectives. Right. Let's dive into number 1.
Yeah, the first one, it's absolutely foundational and honestly, probably the toughest for a lot of places. Eliminate technical debt.
We hear that term technical debt all the time.
Yeah.
What exactly does the document mean here?
It's all that stuff that accumulates, messy code, clunky integrations between systems that barely talk to each other, all those
Yeah.
quick fixes and workarounds people built years ago because they couldn't do it properly then.
Like digital rust?
Yeah, good analogy. It builds up like rust.
And what does that rust actually do?
It just grinds everything to a halt. Seriously. Kills velocity, how fast you can get new things out. Stifles innovation because you're always fixing old junk.
And security.
Big security risks. Old systems are often way harder to patch, harder to even understand what they're doing.
So the solution isn't just like a spring clean.
No. It needs intentional platform modernization. The document talks about breaking down those huge monolithic systems, single giant apps, into smaller, independent microservices.
Easier to manage, easier to update.
Right. And adopting composable infrastructure. That means you can plug and play different tech pieces as needed. You're not locked into one giant, rigid system forever.
Sounds like it needs to be a real strategy, though, not just an IT side project.
Oh, absolutely. It has to be budgeted, prioritized right alongside new features. The document mentions City Football Group as an example.
Right, the Man City owners.
Yeah. They actively ripped out old, fragmented systems and put in a modular stack that let them manage fans across multiple clubs centrally, automate campaigns that used to be incredibly manual. Big difference.
It ties back to that quote in the document, the Gene Kim one. Left unchecked, technical debt will ensure that the only work that gets done is unplanned work.
Exactly. You're just constantly firefighting. Okay, so once you start tackling that foundation, the next huge challenge the document highlights is unifying fan identity.
This seems almost obvious, right? You need to know who your fan is. But why is it a technical challenge?
Because your data as a fan, it's everywhere, scattered. Your website browsing, your mobile app use, tickets you bought, stuff you bought in the team store, how you engage on social.
Preferences, privacy settings.
All of it. It lives in different databases, different systems that often don't talk to each other at all.
So because they're siloed, I might look like 5 different people to the same organization.
Pretty much. And that fragmentation, it makes real personalization super shallow. You get a generic Dear Fan email, not one that knows you just bought a jersey, live nearby, and love watching highlights.
Right, and reporting must be a mess too.
Total nightmare. Trying to get a consistent picture. Forget it.
So the technical solution, is it just building one massive database?
It's more sophisticated than that. The document talks about creating a persistent fan graph. Think of it less like a list, more like a connected network.
Yeah.
It links all those separate pieces, behaviors, purchases, preferences, and crucially, your privacy consents back to a single comprehensive profile. And it updates in real time.
A graph mapping all my interactions back to me.
Exactly. And that unified view is what unlocks the good stuff. Smart segmentation, really understanding different fan groups, real-time actions based on what you just did, and properly managing privacy choices everywhere.
Any examples?
Yeah, Live Nation. The document notes they've invested heavily in this, connecting fan data across Ticketmaster, venue apps, all their properties to build these dynamic profiles.
It makes that Jay Bear quote, "We are surrounded by data, but starved for insights," really hit home. You need that unified ID to actually get the insight.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Okay, moving on. Objective 3, integrating securely with DevOps workflows.
Now, this sounds a bit more technical. DevOps. What's that in this context, and why does CAN engagement need to be part of it?
Right. So DevOps, broadly, it's about bringing software development, dev, and IT operations together, automating, integrating the processes between those teams so they can build, test, release software faster, more reliably.
Okay, standard software stuff. But why does my experience on a fan app, the personalization, the content, need to follow those same rules? Isn't that marketing?
Because those features, the personalization, the recommendations, the interactive bits, they're software. And if they're managed outside the standard development pipeline, well, updates are often manual, risky, slow.
So it's disconnected from how the engineers manage the main app.
Often, yeah. The solution is to treat engagement features just like core software. Use version control, like Git, to track changes. Set up CI/CD pipelines that's continuous integration, continuous delivery for automated build, test, deploy. Proper monitoring, too.
So putting engagement into that same workflow makes it more stable, faster to update.
Exactly. It lets different teams work on features in parallel without stepping on each other's toes.
Okay.
And it enables really important things like feature gating, turning features on or off for certain groups, and clean rollbacks if something goes wrong with a new feature.
Makes sense.
Disney streaming, Disney plus Hulu, ESPN plus, they're a key example here. They use infrastructure as code and GitOps to deploy marketing personalization right alongside core app updates. It's all one automated pipeline.
Wow. At that scale, you'd have to. It fits that Kurt Bolliker quote, "Data that is loved tends to survive." If you treat the engagement logic like code, you clearly value it.
You really do. Okay, objective 4 is streamlining real-time data collection and event streams.
We touched on real-time earlier. What's the specific technical hurdle here?
Well, a lot of older systems, they process data in batches, maybe overnight, once a day. That's okay for looking back at reports, but it's useless for engaging a fan right now.
Right. You can't give someone loyalty points for playing a halftime game 24 hours after the game ended.
Exactly. It needs to be instant. The problem is latency. The data exists, but it's too slow.
So the solution is?
Adopting event streaming. It's a way to capture data points as events like a fan clicking something, a goal being scored, a ticket scan, and immediately route them wherever they need to go so some action can be taken instantly.
What kind of tech enables this? Kafka.
Yeah, the document mentions tools like Kafka, Redis streams, or using webhooks, those automated messages between systems. These let organizations ingest data, route it, and act on fan behavior immediately across different parts of their tech stack.
Like Formula One using real-time car data and fan interactions.
Perfect example. They use this high-throughput stream processing to power those instant graphics you see on screen, update fantasy leagues, change leaderboards, all with sub-second response times. That's what event streams unlock.
It feels like this is tied directly to that John Scully quote. No great marketing decisions have ever been made on qualitative data. You need that real-time quantitative flow.
Absolutely. Spot on. Okay, objective 5. Scale personalization without performance trade-off.
Personalization, obviously key. But how does making something personal slow things down? I wouldn't have thought that.
Well, think about it. If your website or app has to wait for some back-end system to figure out exactly what personalized content to show you before it even starts loading the page, that adds delay.
Ah, okay.
Or sometimes the personalization logic itself is really complex, and if it runs directly on the system serving the main content, it can just buckle under heavy traffic, like during a big game or ticket launch.
So the challenge is delivering unique stuff to millions of people at the same time without making the app feel like it's wading through treacle.
Exactly that. And the solution, decouple the personalization brains from the content delivery. Use microservices, again, those small independent services, specifically for the personalization logic. Use really fast real-time caches to store recommendations temporarily. And sometimes use what are called edge rule engines.
Edge rule engines, what's that?
Think of small bits of logic running physically closer to the user on content delivery networks, CDNs, or in regional data centers. They can make quick, simple decisions about content without having to call all the way back to a central system far away.
Ah, so the main page loads super fast, and then the personalized bits just pop in almost instantly afterward.
Yeah, right. Content can adapt dynamically even after the initial load without wrecking performance. Spotify is the master here.
Their wrapped campaign must be a huge test.
Totally. Millions of signals per second processed for those recommendations. They do it by keeping their heavy machine learning engines separate from the delivery systems. Performance stays solid.
It's turning data into fast information. Like that Daniel Keys Moran quote, "You can have data without information, but you cannot have information without data." This objective is about making the information delivery fast.
Precisely. Objective 6, monitor, test, and optimize in production.
This feels like standard practice for software, but how does it apply specifically to engaging fans?
Because in this space, putting out a new feature or a new personalization idea isn't the end point. It's the start of an experiment. You have to see how fans react in the real world, not just guess.
So every release is basically a live test, a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Which means you need robust observability. That's collecting metrics, clicks, views, conversions, logs, detailed records of what happened, traces following a user's journey through the different systems.
And testing.
Yeah, sophisticated experimentation infrastructure, tools for running A/B tests showing version A versus version B, multivariate tests, testing lots of variables at once, and critically, automated rollback if a new feature tanks.
So you're using actual fan behavior as the feedback loop, not just internal opinion.
Exactly. It gets marketing, product engineering, all looking at the same real-world data, the same KPIs, not just guessing. Netflix is the classic example, right? Running thousands of tests constantly.
Right. They correlate everything back to business metrics.
And that Charles Babbage quote sums it up. Errors using inadequate data are much less than those using no data at all. You need that direct fan feedback.
Okay, last one. Objective 7. Ensure data sovereignty and localization.
This one feels more relevant every day, especially for global brands.
Yeah, different rules everywhere. What's the specific challenge?
As organizations grow internationally, they hit this patchwork of really strict data regulations. GDPR in Europe, CCPAC PRA in California, India's DPDP Act, Quebec's Law 25. The list keeps growing.
And these laws often say where data has to live.
Exactly. Where it must be stored, where it can be processed, and how it can be used based on local rules. You often can't just keep all your fan data in one big global pod anymore.
Or at least you can't process it there without specific controls.
Right. So the technical solution needs architectures that allow for region-specific storage, like databases physically located in Europe for European fan data.
And apply different rules depending on the fan's location.
Precisely. You need configurable processing rules that understand local consent laws, local regulations, plus clear audit trails to prove you're complying. The trick is doing this without just duplicating your entire tech stack everywhere, which is crazy expensive and risky.
Sounds like it has to be baked in from the start, not bolted on later.
It really does. DAZN, the sports streamer, is mentioned as an example. They had to re-architect parts of their platform to create these sovereign data zones, ensuring European data stayed within GDPR-compliant regions.
And like that quote from Henrietta Newton-Martin says, ignorance of the law cannot be pleaded to escape liability. You just have to get this right.
No question. And speaking of getting things right, security and compliance. The document hammers this home. They aren't optional extras anymore. They're absolutely foundational.
Well, yeah. Given the data involved, payments, location, viewing habits, maybe even digital wallets soon, you can see why.
The risks are just enormous. Huge fines, obviously, but also massive brand damage. If fans lose trust in how you handle their data, good luck winning that back.
The document mentioned a couple of real-world incidents, too. Right?
Yeah, stark reminders. Manchester United's cyber attack in 2020 caused major operational disruption, highlighted the need for strong security ops and incident response.
Even if data wasn't confirmed stolen, it shows the vulnerability.
Exactly. And the Anschutz Entertainment Group AEG ransomware attempt in 2023. They caught it early, but it targeted ticketing and internal systems, forced a big security review. These aren't just theories, they happen.
So security isn't just about firewalls. It's designing the system securely and having a plan B.
Precisely. And modern platforms, the document argues, need to enable compliance by default. Built-in features like granular consent management, detailed audit logs, role-based access control so only the right people see sensitive data, and that data residency support we just talked about.
Things like the capabilities mentioned for 3HL Score, baked right in.
Exactly. Compliance is part of the design.
Okay, so we've hit the challenges, the technical objectives. The document also touches briefly on the wider ecosystem of tools these organizations use, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It lists the sort of essential platform categories for 2025. CRM, CDP customer data platforms, marketing automation, loyalty systems, sponsor analytics tools, OTT streaming platforms, music marketing tech, content and social platforms, even dipping into Web3.
But the key point isn't just having all these things separately.
No, exactly. The modern way isn't buying one giant inflexible suite that tries to do everything badly. It's about integrating the best tool for each specific job, best of breed, using those robust technical foundations we've been discussing, APIs connecting everything.
Which leads us nicely into the emerging trends. Where's this all heading? What are the next big shifts the document sees? 6 key ones.
Yep. First up, composable engagement platforms.
Ties right back to what you just said. Moving away from those monoliths.
Exactly. Instead of one giant software suite, you build your platform by integrating specialized services via APIs. One for identity, one for loyalty, one for personalization, etc.
APIs, application programming interfaces. How different software talks. Why is that better for engagement?
Agility. Flexibility. You can swap components out easily, adopt new tech faster, avoid getting locked into one vendor for everything. UEFA's new digital fan platform is cited as an example integrating different tools using APIs.
Makes sense. Trend 2, AI augmented personalization.
Right. This is moving beyond simple if-then rules for personalization. It's applying machine learning to analyze fan data at scale for much, much deeper insights.
Like predicting what I might want to see or buy, even before I know it.
Pretty much. Using ML for really sophisticated segmentation, dynamically tailoring content, predicting behaviors like churn when a fan might drift away so you can proactively engage them.
Any examples?
Warner Music gets a mention, using ML to predict churn risk and then tailor email campaigns much more effectively. It's about enabling that real-time, scaled personalization that humans just can't do manually.
Okay, trend 3, edge delivery and real-time responsiveness.
We touched on the edge earlier, but it's a major trend, leveraging edge computing, pushing processing power and decision logic physically closer to the fan.
So logic running on servers nearby, not across the globe.
Exactly. And the why is the demand for lightning-fast experiences, especially in live situations. Think dynamic sponsor overlays that change based on who's watching. Loyalty rewards appearing the instant you do something. Real-time updates during a live event. Sub-second responsiveness is key.
Formula E's app sounds like a good example here. Using Edge for live votes, leaderboards during the race.
Perfect example. Shows how the edge delivers that critical speed for truly interactive live engagement.
Trend 4, zero trust security models.
This is a big shift in security thinking. Instead of the old trust but verify when someone's inside the network, zero trust verifies everything, every time, every device, every user, every action. Default deny.
So assume nothing is trustworthy, even if it looks legit.
Basically, yes. And it's critical in this world because fan data, digital wallets, tickets, intellectual property, it's all incredibly valuable. Security has to be proactive, built in, constantly verifying. Spotify gets a nod for using zero trust internally, controlling access rigorously.
Trend 5, Web3 and tokenized access.
Okay, moving beyond the initial NFT hype bubble here, this is about looking at the actual utility of things like digital passes, loyalty programs running on blockchains.
The utility, though,
like
yeah.
fans potentially gaining real ownership or verifiable access, maybe to digital collectible, exclusive content, even real-world perks like VIP access, all through digital tokens. It's still early, but it offers new ways to deepen that fan connection, that sense of ownership.
So owning a specific token might get me into a private chat or give me early ticket access. And it's not tied to just one app.
Potentially, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the idea. The document mentions Kings of Leon releasing that NFT album, which bundled VIP concert experiences, an early example merging digital tokens with real-world value.
Interesting. And the final trend, number 6, privacy as a feature.
This is a really interesting one. It's about deliberately designing privacy into the product experience, not just as a legal checkbox you tick.
Making it easy for me, the fan, to see and control my data.
Exactly, giving you more visibility into what's collected. Easy-to-use controls over how it's used, even data portability, letting you take your data somewhere else if you want. It builds trust, which fans increasingly demand, and it aligns with all those stricter global regulations.
Like Apple's data nutrition labels on apps or their mail privacy protection. Setting new expectations.
Perfect examples mentioned in the document. They've kind of reset the bar, forcing everyone else to think, how can we make privacy a positive part of the experience, not just a legal hurdle?
Wow, okay. That is a lot of ground we've covered, from rusty legacy systems all the way to AI and Web3.
It is, but the document really brings it all back to one clear, powerful conclusion.
Which is?
That the future of engaging fans in sports and entertainment, it won't be built by patching up old systems or running disconnected campaigns. It absolutely depends on building modern, adaptable, truly fan-centric technology stacks.
It really drives home that the old way disconnected tools, engineers constantly fighting tech debt, compliance stacked on at the end, it just won't work anymore.
No. It makes a really strong case for treating engagement as infrastructure. Think about personalization systems scaling reliably, like payment processing, loyalty reacting in real time via event streams, privacy and consent being core API functions, not afterthoughts.
And crucially, this isn't just tech for tech's sake. The document connects it back to creativity, right?
Exactly. Modernizing the stack, getting teams aligned, engineering, product, marketing, it's not just about efficiency. It removes the friction. It actually enables people to dream up and build completely new kinds of fan experiences that were literally impossible before.
Which leaves us with that final, pretty provocative question the document poses, something for you, the listener, to really think about. The future of fan engagement is not a campaign, it's a product.
Is your stack, your systems, and your workflows built to keep up with that?